All right, how is everyone doing today? In this video, of course, I'm a day late, my bad. We get the localization adjustment where we see all the advanced stuff. We know what units are coming. We're gonna see all the events that are coming, all that different type of stuff. I know with the video that I posted previously with all the stuff happening in JP, there's a lot to be said about what's happening over there. Right now, on the global side of things, this is for people that are still looking at global, people that are still playing global. I know some people have their gripes about certain things and their stance on other things, but we're gonna have to wait and to see how that's going to fare on JP's version. The best thing I could say before we get into all of this stuff is this kind of helps you plan even more so if you're still going to be playing the game. If you're not going to be spending, then I guess these types of videos are going to help you a little bit more than they were beforehand if you were already spending that type of stuff, until we can see what's happening on the JP version of the game. But for those that are still playing the game, we are going to see the advancement notice, and we're going to see a lot of new story events, a lot of new banners, and also a bunch of new events. So let's go ahead and see what we're going to be looking at in terms of what's coming out in the game. We are going to be receiving chapter 5.1. This is actually really insane that we're catching up super quick to JP, which I think is really cool in terms of story. It usually takes a good amount of time for JP to receive new story, so the fact that we're getting it at a consistent rate is pretty good. But we will eventually be put in that, I guess you could say, limbo of waiting for a brand new story and finishing the current one that we have right now. So chapter 5.1 will be coming out very soon, in early August, which we're already in post maintenance. Now the thing about this being shown, which is chapter 5.1, this is supposed to be alongside, which I may be wrong. This is a little bit more of a guesswork type of, this banner is going to be coming with this, because this was part of their half anniversary. What anniversary was it specifically? Specifically for this character I'm about to show, they released at the same time chapter 5.1 came out, and that is going to be Unison Ruka. Unison Ruka came out when chapter 5.1 came out, and let me make sure ×4 that is the case. I can look really quick if that is the case, and that is going to say, yeah, okay, so yes, Unison Ruka is going to be when 5.1 releases, or that's how it was in JP. So for the fact that we are looking at the 5.1 release, Unison Ruka is going to be part of the celebration, most likely, and this is a pretty big deal for two main reasons. One of the main reasons is going to definitely be a really nice character to have in terms of a DPS or an attacker, because she will have two different EX moves, one being dark defense down and also hitting dark within the dark attack, and then the other is going to be fire defense down with a fire attack. So you get to pick which one you're going to use, kind of goes towards two different teams, which is really nice. And not only that, she also has Mind's Eye, which is a pretty big deal because this can be put on other Rukas, and this can also be used on her herself. So that means you don't need Mua, you don't need other characters that are going to provide Mind's Eye, which is a really nice buff overall to Ruka in total. So this is just a really good thing overall. Whenever she gets Mind's Eye, she's going to be giving herself an attack buff as her regular passive, which is really nice. And then, if I'm not wrong, she gets, I don't know if she gets this innately. Okay, yeah, I think she gets that innately. Also on her Limit Break 0, she's also going to be giving more defense down from the fire and dark EX skill that she has. So this Ruka is going to be really nice. Now there's a couple of things I want to talk about with this Ruka before we head on to all the other things that we are looking at in terms of all these celebrations. This Unison Ruka has two things that are really important. One is she is a limited character, so this means that once this banner leaves, you will not be able to grab Unison Ruka until she gets featured on another banner. She will not be going into the pool list for all the other characters, where they're at. How we have Idol Aoi, Idol Ichigo, those characters, once they get put out of the banner, I think they're already gone, they get put into the pool. This will not be the case for Unison Ruka and all other Unison characters that come out in the future. So that is one thing to note with Unison Ruka. The other thing is you can see the brand new shiny rarity that is on her. Dependent on how things go with JP, she will be an SSR character in the future, which will allow you to use Unison Boost, not Unison Boost, Resonance Boost, which can allow you to have extra effects on your character from other members in your box. So that is a pretty big deal. The difference in having an SS and SSR character with the Resonance Boost, as I've heard from Bakasa, it's not something to fret about. If you were going to pull Unison Ruka beforehand, you probably were going to pull her anyway. And if you weren't going to pull Unison Ruka, realistically, she's not a must-have by any means. When it comes to the must-haves, you're looking at something like Diva Ruka, who's going to come out way later in the future. But being able to grab yourself an SSR who's able to use the resonance ability, which I heard a lot of people actually like the resonance ability, they just don't like the implementation that they have it in. They like the support factor of the game, being able to use your box, being able to use value for characters that you're not using. I've heard pretty positive things about that, but the way they're implementing it with only SR can be using them, with all the stipulations that come with that, that is the thing they're kind of upset about for the most part. So that is going to be with Unison Ruka. Pretty big deal because she will be our first limited character, our first what is it called, Unison character, which I think is very exciting. And then other than that, let's go ahead and get into the next part, which is the silhouette of Summer Light Square. So this is going to be event stories for the most part, and the silhouette of Summer Light Square, if I'm not wrong, is going to be Mari and Kanzaki. Now I might get some of these characters mixed around, possibly in the wrong event. I think I ordered them in the right way chronologically while I was getting the data and cross-referencing a bunch of things to make sure I got everything right. But the silhouette of Summer Light Square should be the Kanzaki and Mari. Now Kanzaki is going to be really nice because she will act as Yotsuha if you don't have Yotsuha, and she will also be a blaster as well. Her main gimmick is going to be giving herself shadow clones, and with that being said, she's going to be able to nullify attacks and prevent all incoming debuffs to herself, which also increases her skill attack by 30%. And then with that being said, if you have these clones, you can reduce your EX to 7 SP, which is pretty nice for the amount of cost it costs you to use these shadow clones. And this is going to be giving you fire attack up and fire crit damage up for the whole entire party, including herself, which is pretty cool. This is going to be a pretty good buffer for fire if you don't have Yotsuha or any of the other substitutes. So if you like Kanzaki, if you're using the fire team, this could be a pretty cool character and someone you could technically use with Unison Ruka with her fire EX skill. Mari is going to be another buffer as well, kind of in the same vein as SS2 Mari, being able to give crit rate up, crit damage up, mind's eye, but it's unconditional, which is not the case for someone like SS2 Mari, where SS2 Mari can only do it the first time with giving all these extra buffs. She will also be doing a fire attack as well, and also does sport the shadow clone mechanic as well, which she needs to give all these buffs besides, you know, the regular SP that she has there, which I think is pretty cool, that we are going to be seeing these new mechanics come into play with some of these characters. Kanzaki is a pretty cool character to look at. Mari, on the other hand, isn't 100% needed because you have characters like Fire Ruka, you have characters like Unison Ruka, who are all going to be in the game, and then we also have Yuri, of course, who's part of the game as well for fire attackers. So the space for an extra fire attacker in your box isn't really as needed as compared to other elements. But Kanzaki, on the other hand, really nice fire buffer for the most part. Going into the next banner, it's going to be Rule the Swimsuit to Rule Summer in Narishino, supported by High Self. This is going to be in late August, and that is going to be Megumi and Karin. Swimsuit, Megumi, and Karin. Megumi is actually a pretty insane character, because her EX skill will give us a Thunder defense down and an 8-turn Thunder zone with it being a premium field. Pretty good stuff overall. Not only that, she can also give the party Thunder attack up, which is really nice. And then lastly, the one thing that's really important, this is going to be a common skill or a passive skill, something brand new to Heaven Burns Red, in terms of the global side of things, whereas she can put this on any character that is Megumi, of course, and this can make zones eternal, which means that these will be permanent zones. And also it boosts the potency by 15%. So that means for a character potentially like Fire Megumi, you are able to have a permanent fire zone and also have a stronger fire zone. So this is actually a pretty good character to look at out of the bunch we've been looking at so far. So you're going to be able to grab a thunder defense down plus a thunder fielder, plus being able to buff your other Megumis if you have the fire one. So this is a pretty good character. And not only that, at Limit Break 3, she's also going to give herself more defense down, or defense down for whatever she's doing as a debuff on top of this EX skill. So this is just a really, really good Megumi overall in terms of being a debuffer, just because she can make zones permanent, which is absolutely insane. You don't have to re-up them if you don't want to. And then we're gonna have Swimsuit Karin. Now Swimsuit Karin is very interesting. Now one of the main problems with Swimsuit Karin, as I can see, she has kind of like two EX skills. One being that she can trigger her EX skill twice, and this is a one-time use, which allows you to use your EX skill twice. And then her EX skill is just basically gonna buff her insanely high. She's gonna be able to give herself and the party crit rate up and crit damage up, and then she's able to use her AoE attack twice, which is actually pretty nice. Main problem is that she can only do that once, and then she's kind of stuck with this regular EX skill, which kind of does suck for the most part. Not necessarily the most important character out of the banner. You're really gunning for this Megumi for sure, for Thunder teams and for Fire teams in total, and whatever other Megumi comes out in the future. On to the next banners, or the next event stories. 28 meters of eternity. That should be Mia and Chia. Now Mia is a character that kind of falls into puzzle pieces. Her falling cherry blossoms is going to be something really good for SS1 Mia and SS2 Mia specifically, because it allows you to give attack boost and debuff effect boost when you use this common skill, which is pretty freaking good. This is going to be allowing you to have 20% extra debuff effect coming from SS2 or SS1, and also SS3 technically as well, which I think is actually pretty insane. The next thing to look at is that she has permanent ice defense down, regular defense down, and also AoE defense down as well, which is absolutely insane. As you can see, lowers defense and ice attribute defense of all enemies permanent, and then she also makes it so that they cannot recover permanently as well, which are pretty good. The only problem is that these stats are pretty low: 20%, 30%, 10%, 20%, and then 100% recovery. This is normal, but the defense down coming from the ice portion of it and the regular defense down AoE wise, not only is it AoE, but it's also permanent, so they're making the scalings really low, which kind of hurts her in all honesty, and you could technically do better with future ice characters. Same thing goes for Chia. Chia is also a character that sadly gets put in a spot where she gets replaced later on as well. So technically she is going to be a really nice buffer for ice, because she can lower her own cost of EX skill if she has an additional turn, which her common skill does, which is pretty nice. But she does get replaced fairly easily in the future for ice, so not necessarily a summon. Neither is Mia, unless you're really trying your best to kit out SS2 Mia or SS1 Mia with this common skill, and Mia just gets even better later down the line when we end up getting master skills, so that's even cooler. So right now, when it comes to all the banners we're looking at, I haven't finished all of them yet, but we're still kind of recapping what we're looking at. Unison is looking like a really big pickup for sure. Kanzaki is really nice for fire teams if you don't already have Yotsuha or any of the other substitutes. Mari is all right. Megumi is going to be a really big pickup as well, just because Thunderfield permanent, same thing with Firefield permanent. If you have the Fire Megumi, being able to make her zones what is it called, permanent, and also boost them up is a really big thing for the most part. Karin, not necessarily the most important unit in the world. Mia's common skill is really nice. Chia gets replaced sadly, even though she's a pretty good unit. And then lastly, we are looking at the case files of Irene Redmine, which means of course Irene and Veridica. Now this Irene at the current moment is going to be your makeshift Inori, or basically regular Inori. This is going to be your next Pierce character. If you want to build two teams of Pierce, if you already have Inori on one side, Irene would technically be your second side character for all intents and purposes of Pierce crit. Right now in global, that would be a pretty good thing to have, not gonna lie. Being able to just shred the enemy immediately, not having to worry about many buffs, just basically cracking them down no matter the element that they're weakness to, resistant to, all that different type of stuff. You shoot them with Irene, you're pretty much good to go. You don't even have to worry about the SP, because she can use it whenever she wants, with it being of course one of the classes that can go into the negatives, which is absolutely insane. Pretty good character overall. This is for those that really want to try the Pierce crit meta and being able to just basically one-shot things without worrying or having to worry about any weakness, having to worry about specific elements. And if you really want to include what's happening in JP, which of course that is very not risky, because of course we don't know what's going to happen in JP. We don't know if we're going to keep it, we don't know if they're going to stay the way they are. But if you want to look into JP a little bit, if you want to learn a little bit more about that, Pierce crit does get better on the JP side of things down the line after that update, because elemental buffs aren't as strong. This means that losing those elemental buffs, although give you a slight edge or give you a pretty sizable edge, they bring pierce crit and elemental damage kind of like closer together, as opposed to it being, you know, pierce crit and then elemental. It's kind of like here, kind of. You still have a little bit more of a bonus having elemental, but pierce crit still doing pretty good, and maybe even better because of those nerfs that they did to the damage calculation, the way they're sorting buffs out and grouping them together. So Irene is definitely one of those characters that you really want to look at if you don't have Inori, or if you really want to have a second Inori, basically. For the most part, Veridica is going to be your general defender slash healer. This one specifically is going to be a healer with DP party recovery, with it being 150 max overheal, which is really nice, and then a party debuff guard, which is always nice to have. And then she will have a AoE attack that she can go into the negatives from, which is pretty cool. And then she can also raise frontline defense up, which is always a really nice thing. As you know, a lot of these enemies hit pretty hard. So that is all of the banners that we are looking at in the span of August and September. It sounds like a lot, but realistically, there's not that many characters you have to summon on if you know exactly what teams you're going to be pulling on. Unison Ruka is pretty good. Kanzaki's pretty good. Megumi's pretty good. Mia and Chia, although Mia is really good for SS2 Mia, not necessarily a pull. None of these characters are necessarily must-haves. Irene is just a really good attacker. Mia is really nice for the slight upgrade on Mia too. Megumi is really nice for Thunder Fire. And then same thing goes for Unison Ruka. Unison Ruka might be the highest in priority over all of these characters because of the SSR rating, plus all the things that she can do as well. But let's go into the rest of the localization updates besides banners. Benefits, because we always love free pulls. In the summer campaign, players will receive 140 recruitments, holy, and 3 SSs for free, which is really nice. In the first half of August, there will be 20 free recruitments, and in the second half, there will be 10 free daily recruitments, allowing players to accumulate a total of 120 free pulls. Upon completing all 120 free recruitments, players will additionally receive a SS guaranteed recruitment ticket. Really good stuff. SS outfit recruitment. Complete chapter 1 to claim a base outfit SS selection ticket. Your chance to pick one base outfit memoria from all 48 squadron members. So this means that your first ticket that you're going to be getting, when it comes to the one I just talked about, will be an SS1 recruitment ticket. So that means any character in the game, their first version of their character, their SS1, you'll be able to pick one out of those characters. So SS1 Ruka, pretty good. What's it called? SS1 Yinksha, really good. That is definitely a character that you're probably going to want to look at, and I'll probably make a video about all the best SS1s in a bunch of specific cases, but Yinksha's definitely going to be one of those characters. So that's a really good thing. Free quartz gift. On the release of chapter 5 part 1, you will receive 3,000 quartz straight to your mail just for logging in. So that is just a free 10 pull. Always good stuff. On to the next page. Login bonuses. You will receive 1 SS guaranteed 10 roll recruitment, which is really nice. And then 4,500 quartz. That's another 10 pull and a half. Really cool. Power training campaigns is going to just be, you know, of course, giving you materials for doing regular missions, which is good. Summer bonuses on the weekend, which we have been receiving these past few weekends, which is really good. New season of Arts Battle. I still need to go ahead and start doing my Arts Battle for season 1. I want to get a little bit higher on the scoreboard, so I might work on that very soon. Score challenge update. Difficulty level increased to 140. Maximum reward cap raised to 1 million points. New exclusive items added to the reward pool. That I will have to see how that works out. We've been receiving some pretty strong characters, and with Unison Ruka coming out, Megumi coming out, Miko has came out, Sharo has came out. There's been a lot of really good characters that have been added to the pool of units to use. So them raising the difficulty makes sense, especially with the amount of characters that we've been getting that are raising power. We'll have to see how that fares against the normal teams, but we'll have to see how that is. We're kind of catching up to JP in regards to where they were at in terms of difficulty, so it makes sense that they're raising it once more. Clock Tower Area 9 will be unlocked in September. I will have to look up what those floors entail or what buffs that entails. The title badge system launches in September. I don't know what that is, but I've heard people be excited about it. We'll have to see how that works out. And other updates, the unit's level cap increases by 10 as you progress through chapters 5 story. Hey, that's really cool. And that's going to conclude the localization update. If you have any questions, suggestions, please leave them in the comments section. We kept the review feedback, remain dedicated to bringing you an even better gaming experience. See you in volume 9. So yes, there is a lot happening with from us being right now in early August till September. So yeah, we have a lot of characters coming out, we have a lot of events coming out, we have a lot of bonuses and also free pulls. So that's a lot of really cool stuff. Three free SS's with 1 ticket, which is pretty cool. And other than that, that's pretty much gonna be it for this video. I'll probably make some more videos talking about more of these characters in depth, talking about which characters are gonna be better for your tickets. And also, I have not forgotten, we still need to do Sharo, Miko, Bungo, all these showcases. It's just a lot, but we'll get to them as soon as I possibly can. And of course, do the interlude so we can be ready for chapter 5.1. Oh my god, I have so much to catch up on. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the next one, and peace.